Wow. Fabulous job, Cassie. Can we hear for Cassie one more time? Nice job. Woo, 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 woo. All right. Morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So when I was a kid, I was always fascinated by words. And even though I had trouble with speech and had to be taken out of regular class to work on speech and reading, you remember when they used to make you read and they'd go down the row and each person would read a paragraph? I was so bad, kids would laugh at me. So it was a little bit traumatic with me around reading and speech stuff, but it didn't diminish my fascination with words and the power of words. I remember when the teacher would read a book. The first book that a teacher read that I remember was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I just hung on every word. And then another teacher in grade 8 read an Agatha Christie novel, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd with Detective Poirot. I was just captured. And then when I went to church, that's where I really fell in love with inspirational quotes. I used to go to church, didn't go to Sunday school, went to adult church, and in the front of the program every week, the bulletin, had Ralph Waldo Emerson's words, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." I saw that every Sunday. And inside, they had a quote, some cute thing like, "When you live life by the inch, it's a cinch, and when you live it by the yard, it's hard." Or cute ones like, "A smile is like a carnation in the buttonhole of life." I remember these things. It's like 35, 40 years ago, they're in here. And I just loved inspirational quotes. Then I would watch televangelists on TV, and everybody knows Oral Roberts is my favorite. Something good is going to happen to you today. And whatever they said, it was powerful. It was captivating. It was energizing. And, and then I would find things that I really liked, and if I really liked it, a passage, I would memorize it. Shakespeare, my favorite play is The Merchant of Venice, and I would memorize these words: "The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth he that gives and he that takes." Or other ones like by Edgar Guest. One of my faves by his is, "Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied, that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hit it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it." And so I would just start enjoying and just thinking about all kinds of words and ways to say things in a clever way. So I'd come up with clever ways to say simple things. Like, tell me what this means. Peripateticate 5,280 feet in my protective podalic wear. What does that mean? It means walk a mile in my shoes. How about this one? Gastronomical satiety admonishes me that I have arrived at the ultimate state of deglutition consistent with dietetic integrity. It means I'm full. And I know somebody's out there thinking, "Richard, oh, you're full of it," or something, but anyway. But let's hope it's a small group. And I remember when I was in high school, we had an auditorium that fit 500 people, and somebody was giving a talk. And I remember people were laughing, and they were smiling, and they were feeling their hearts open. And I looked around, and I thought, wow, one person is speaking words. An entire room is captured, is on the edge of their seat waiting for the next word. And I thought to myself, wow, words are powerful. Words are amazing. My father didn't finish high school. But my father had probably one of the best vocabularies of anyone I ever met, one of the most articulate individuals I met. While he didn't have a formal education, he found his strength and power through words. I have discovered that words can educate and elucidate. Words can enlighten and entertain. Words can reveal and they can heal. After my car accident, my whole life was about athletics, about movement. And I thought my life was over and done. And my brother had introduced me to an organization called Toastmasters. And it is through learning to give speeches and discovering the power of the word and how to shape words into ideas and stories that can uplift and inspire that it literally changed my life. It gave my life a level of meaning and a level of purpose. And what I've discovered over time is words are not just a form of communication. that words are truly the foundation of all creation. In the Bible, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." In Genesis, God created the world through speaking the word. "Let there be light," and there was light. Our words are creative. Our lives are created by the words we speak. Our dreams, our thoughts, our feelings, our desires are all manifested through the power of the spoken word. So what words and what kind of life are you creating with your words? And are you using your words consciously, carefully, and intentionally to speak into existence the kind of life, the kind of experiences, the kind of goals and achievements that you desire to have? How many people here read the book Four Agreements? How many people have read it? A fair number of people. You know, it's 20th anniversary of the book this year, 20th anniversary. In fact, I think in a month or so, that Don Miguel Ruiz is coming here and going to speak on the book, he and his sons. So I thought it'd be good maybe to refresh us and to talk about the Four Agreements. And one of the things he said is that our lives are built in our agreements. And our agreements are an agreement with certain beliefs or ideas, true or not, that we have established and we live by, that we've spoken into existence. And they're agreements we have with ourselves and others and how life should be. And sometimes these agreements we have are not based on truth. Sometimes we have agreements based in fear and unworthiness and shame that we keep living and reliving, that we keep affirming and confirming and affirming. One of the things he says that I love, he says that true justice is paying once for any mistake. And true injustice is paying over and over for the same mistake. Meaning that we have erroneous beliefs and thoughts of lack and limitation and unworthiness, and regret and shame. And we keep paying for it over and over again by speaking those words, by affirming them, by believing them and confirming them. But the good news is we can change our agreements. That whatever agreement we have about us not being good enough or worthy enough, that we can change them to new agreements, healthier agreements that can actually free us and liberate us to make better choices and to truly choose and to live a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful than we are currently living. So we're going to do a 2-week series. Today we'll look at the first 2 of the 4 agreements, and that is be impeccable with your word. And then also the second, which is don't take things personally. Every word we speak has energy. Every word we speak has a creative power. Listen to what it says in Isaiah. "My word goes out from my mouth and will not return to me void, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." Every word, hateful or loving, has an energy that goes out and creates and manifests more of that word. And so with our words, that as it says in the book of Proverbs, words can give life or death, that we can tear down or build up with words. We can tear ourselves down or build ourselves up with words. We can tear others down or build them up with our words. Words can create love and beauty and happiness. But great words can create conflict and chaos and drama, division and separation as well. Sometimes we have agreements with words that we've created that we use that shape our lives, like life is hard, life stinks, you can't trust anyone, everyone's out for themselves. Things only go from bad to worse. There's not enough. I'm just so stupid sometimes. I'm not lovable, I'm not smart enough. I always end up getting hurt and getting taken advantage of in situations. We have all kinds of things we say. I'm not good with money. I never remember people's names. And we keep saying these things and begin to shape our lives. Sometimes we aren't even aware of the words we speak. You ever been driving down 51, someone cuts you off and says, "You moron, you are such an idiot." Or you're watching a football game, a ref makes a bad call, and you say, "You bum, what are you, blind and stupid, ref?" Or something, "I just hate that guy, I hate him." And we don't realize that we're speaking some unhealthy energy out there. We're not even aware of it. And interestingly, he uses the word, be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable. You know the word impeccable means without sin. Use your words without sin. And his idea of using your word with sin, using your words in a sinful way, is using words in ways that are against yourself and don't honor who you really are. Using words that are judging and blameful and jealous and angry and cruel dishonors who we are. It goes against our peace. It goes against our happiness. It goes against our success and our joy and harmony in our relationships. He says, when you call someone a name, you call them stupid or an idiot, we think we're doing it to them, but we're actually doing it to ourselves. We are poisoning ourselves with that kind of energy within us. We are not only putting it out there, we are putting it in here and keeping it alive. So what he says is being impeccable with your word is to use your energy and your words in a way that honors you, that supports you, supports your nature, supports your spirit, supports your health and your wisdom and your joy and your happiness. Use words in a way that honor you, your life, and the kind of life that you want to experience. So my question is, what kind of words are you speaking? What kind of words, are the words you're speaking reflecting the kind of person you want to be? Are they reflecting the level of love that you want to experience? The kind of attitude that you want to embody? The level of joy that you want to feel? So whatever those agreements might be, we need to begin to pay attention to them. What do you say about yourself? You ever say things like, God, I'm such an idiot. I'm such a loser. I'm a knucklehead. You know, I'm no good at this. I'm just lousy at that. And what he says is the very first thing to be impeccable with your word is change your words about how you talk about you. Number one place to start. Be impeccable. Be honoring of your words of yourself and how you speak about yourself. You know, in the book of, in Chronicles, it actually gives us one of the first affirmations. And it says, let the weak say, I am strong. Let the weak, an old agreement, say, I am strong, create a new agreement. That look in your life where you've got some agreements that aren't healthy and honoring of who you are, and create a new agreement. You know, it's interesting, in unity, they talk about, when it says that in the book of Genesis, that God said, I am that I am, that in unity we teach that the I am is that God part of you. There is an I am, the divine in us, and we must be careful what we attach our I am to. That is our spiritual identity. And when we use that I am and say, I am stupid, or I am, unworthy, or I am not smart, we are dishonoring our nature. And we have to be more conscious and careful and aware of what we attach to our I am. That I am a child of God. I am created in the image and likeness of God. I am the light of the world. I am beautiful. I am successful. I am healthy. We need to speak and affirm the words that honors the truth of who we are. So repeat after me. I am a child of God. Together. I am a child of God. I am created in the image and likeness of God. I am created in the image. I am the light of the world. I am worthy of God's love. I am worthy of a great life. I am healthy. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am wise. I am good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me. And that's the truth. So what kind of words are you going to speak about yourself? And I'm not saying, in the doctor's waiting room, just start saying it to everybody in the room. You got to be saying it to yourself. That's the most important person you got to say this to. That I'm lovable, that I'm worthy. And when you make a mistake, I will learn. I will get better. I will get stronger. I will get wiser. So what kind of words are you going to make a commitment to change? What agreements that aren't for your highest and best are you willing to be more impeccable and honor yourself and speak those words more positively? One of the things he says is when we're more impeccable with our word, it releases unhealthy energies that frees us to make better choices, to be more aware, to be more conscious and intentional in the life that we are creating and want to create. So first and most important thing in being impeccable with word, look at the words that you speak about yourself and begin to create new agreements and speak healthier. Because if you do it with yourself, if you're more accepting and positive with you, you're more likely to be so with others. First place to start is right here. Second thing he says about being impeccable with your word is don't gossip. He said the world communicates with gossip. We like to gossip about this, gossip about that, gossip about this. And he said that it's really like almost like a virus in a computer. When you get all that gossipy stuff going in your head, you can't function or put out as quality and be as effective in your life and your thinking and creating. It just doesn't work that way. He gives us an example that somebody at the beginning of his class leans over to a student and said, this guy's a pompous jerk. And he's a pervert too. And so I'm just giving the thing from the book. It's just an example from the book. And then he says, what we do is we poison someone's mind, and that person could have gotten a bad grade. We don't know what their thing was. They shared their opinion and their thing, but it's important not to spread gossip or continue it on. It's not healthy for anybody. It's not honoring of who we are. So that's being impeccable with our words. Start with yourself. Evaluate the agreements that aren't honoring and speak more affirmative of yourself, and then don't do gossip. And then the second one is don't take things too personally. Anybody ever been rude or insulted you or say something a little insensitive and you felt hurt, a little crushed, a little upset? Anybody? Okay, about 7 or 8 of us. That's good, okay. And so whether, you ever had somebody, that you didn't get invited to a party you thought you'd get to and you felt a little slighted, or, maybe you cooked a dinner for your partner and you put on a nice romantic outfit and the mood was there and they didn't even notice, and you felt really disappointed and unappreciated. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that we don't feel honored and respected. We feel our feelings hurt. We feel disappointed because we take things personally. And the question is, why do we take things personally? And you know what he says? The reason? Because at some level, what not so nice thing they said, at some level we think it might be true. That we might not be worthy of being treated well or being loved. Sometimes what people say might trigger our trust issues or abandonment or feelings of unworthiness or shame. And so he said it's very, very important for us to look at this and look at this in the most healthy way. The number one truth is that whatever other people say is really a reflection of what's going on with them. Somebody once said, what you think of me is none of my business. Because whatever someone said, harsh, mean, and sensitive, is a product of what was going on in them. Their perception, their attitude, their mindset at that moment. And so that is their stuff, and don't take on their stuff. Now, if we get triggered by what they say, that becomes our stuff. And it's important for us to know the difference. That what's theirs is theirs, and that's their stuff, and know when to make ours ours. Because sometimes we like to dip our hand in theirs and think that when what they say is all about us, and we start altering our behavior to please them so they won't say those kind of things about us, and we disconnect with who we really are. And so here's the 3-step way of how to not take things personally. Number 1 is to remember and learn that if someone says something harsh, it's their stuff. It's about what's going on with them. Their bad mood, their negative feeling, their perspective. And that gives us perspective to keep some distance from it and not let it be as personal. And when we know it's about their stuff and what's going on with them, we can actually be a bit more compassionate. They lashed out that way because they were hurt or coming from a place of fear, and we can actually express compassion and understanding for them. Let me give an example. Jesus wasn't treated so well. And he got clear that people were acting that way because that was their stuff. That was their fears. That was their negative beliefs and their negative emotions. And he gave a line that is so perfect, and he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He was so aware that it was their stuff, And they don't get it because they're even poisoning themselves saying this negative stuff and hateful stuff. Forgive them, for they know not what they're doing to themselves. They know not what they're doing to their own happiness and peace of mind. They're diminishing their own happiness, being hurtful or betraying or being angry. Is this making sense, everyone? And so this is an important thing. Just that perspective and understanding that it's their stuff and they're coming from their place and having compassion and forgive them, for they know not what they do, that helps us not take it personally. That's a huge step. Second one is when we get triggered, we have to accept and realize it's a sign that something in us is hurt, that we've got some unhealthy agreement that isn't right and working inside of us that needs to be healed. It's important that when someone says something like that and it triggers us, we just don't say that's their stuff and leave it alone, or ignore it, or deny it, or pretend it's not a big deal. We need to recognize it, acknowledge it, and be responsible of saying, that's clearly a wound that needs healing within me. But a part of the accepting responsibility is knowing that it's there, but knowing that you're greater than it, that it doesn't have to control your life anymore. And then the third part is to actually go in and do the inner healing, to actually go in and do that inner work. And just to say, God, this thing is triggered in me. Help me heal this and release this from me. Help me let this go and transform it into pure light and peace. Did you hear Lucretia sharing about her mom? Her mom's passed. She writes a letter. And she feels a freedom within herself. And she gets a connection with her mom and feels a deeper freedom. All of that was an inside job. Sometimes we think, oh, just let it go to God or just write a letter. No, it works. Spiritual work, inner work, works. Sometimes we think lifting bricks and outer work is how you build a life. No, it starts from the inside out. So are you willing to go within and just talk to God in the quietness of your heart and surrender and let that go? Just an intention and a willingness to be healed and to give it to God. God will transform it. God will renew it. God will open things up to new possibilities. The question is, are you willing to go in and do that work? Because you got to acknowledge the hurt and feel it before you can heal it. And you got to surrender it to God. One of the things about being impeccable with your word and taking things personally, not using your words well or taking things personally, both of them are a result of not feeling our wholeness and connection with God. It's when we don't feel whole that we speak words of fear. When we don't feel centered in God's love, that's when we speak words of anger and upset. It's when we don't feel centered and whole and connected in our oneness with God, that's when we take things personally. So the important thing is the more inner work we do of feeling our connectedness, our wholeness, and our oneness with God, the more connected, the more calm, the more centered, the more compassionate, and the more clear we are. Jesus prayed consistently every single day. Sometimes we pray only when we feel flustered or disconnected or have a need. Jesus had a systematic, consistent way of praying. It's called being prayed up. That the more you're grounded in God, the more you feel that oneness and that sense of wholeness, the more centered and calm we stay. We speak better words about ourselves and others. We don't take things as personally. Because why? We are grounded in love. We are grounded in spirit. We are grounded in God. We know that we are whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. When you have that soul connection, that is where we can live our lives and speak the best words and handle situations with more compassion and understanding. Does this make sense? The best thing you could do to make this a great year? Spend more time connecting and feeling that wholeness and oneness. And because life happens from the inside out. We think it's just the word. No, it's got to come from here. And then it'll help your words get better. Our lives are built on our agreements. So what agreements are you making? What words are you speaking that are creating the kind of life you want? And what better words could you be speaking? Let's make a commitment this year to speak words that support and honor the truth of who we are and not think things personally. Have compassion for people when they're acting that way. Notice what needs to be healed and triggered and surrendered to God. We could have a great year because we'll free ourselves when we let go of these things. And it all begins with, are we willing to make some new agreements? God bless you all.